Conner tried to get Destiny banned on Twitch. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is the primary reason why like Destiny got banned, no? Like he is the one that like reposted, retweeted, and essentially at the same time Vaush was trying to sweep for Conner, right? Vaush was trying to sweep for Conner saying, "Oh, I'm not responsible for the actions of my orbiters," right? So fucking stupid. I'm pretty sure Destiny then said, "Oh, a yearly salary of $186,000 going up in smoke." Which I mean, in retrospect, it's better that he moved to YouTube, right? But at the same time, at the moment, it definitely is like a very like, fuck. I just got giga fucked moment, right? Yeah.
Don't want to see that go away and that progress be regressed on. I believe that's a valid fear, but it's not valid to allow that to affect your commentary and the way that you act politically in such a way that it makes it so that you're kind of willing to throw an oppressed group that you're not a part of aside for your own survival, I suppose. Sometimes your goat is just Vaush. There's really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. No two ways about it. You've probably seen a lot about this already. One, Contrapoints. Some may say Contrapoints. That's incorrect. So apparently people that are fans of Contrapoints have been wanting her to speak on the Middle East, as it were, for unknown reasons until about 2 days ago. We didn't really know why it was.
Is Conner still Vaush's housemate? It looks like they have the same wall. So I guess there's that.
That she hadn't. It seems pretty easy, I think, nowadays at least, because of the shifting climate when it comes to people's perspectives on the nation-state of Israel and its far-right administration under Benjamin Netanyahu. Nowadays, it's super easy to just be like, yeah, I'm against genocide. I think that's bad. It's hard for a lot of people to actually speak on the issue because if you do come out against the far-right ethno-state project that is the nation-state of Israel, if you're like a normie and you have a bunch of sponsorships that keep you being able to put food on the table, there's been a history of false claims of anti-Semitism that have been launched at people for...
I can tell this is already going to be incredibly insufferable. Why am I putting myself through this?
Being anti-genocide. And that can, hurt people's bottom line. It can hurt their ability to feed themselves, off of their content. It's a very real issue, and there is work that is coordinated by a variety of different people. Some of them are Zionist and pro the ethno-state project. Some of them are like...
This guy's trying to copy Vaush's cadence, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I try not to hold that against people, but it is funny to make fun of them, okay? To be fair, I mean, people, make fun of me for having, Destiny's mannerisms. Well, yeah, what do you want me to say? I literally suck his dick. Okay.
Far-right Christian evangelicals who weaponize anti-Semitism, even though they are very much so anti-Semitic themselves, will try to get people canceled, like real cancellation, get people fired from their jobs, etc., for being anti-genocide. There's a whole bunch of shit going on. But when it comes to ContraPoints, I don't know why she wouldn't have put out a very simple statement. I don't need her to make a video on it, though I don't think it would be the worst thing. But I don't for someone who is as smart as she is, and has put out statements that are very well thought out on a variety of different issues in the past, I'm not sure if those are similar considerations or not. There's no way for me to know. But apparently enough people in her audience have been wanting her to make a statement. We're like a year and 9 months out from the horrible atrocity of...
Okay, what's with the transitions? It's like zooming in and out to transition between the
of October 7th.
Also, dude, I'm gonna be honest, Kanye looks washed, okay? He or she or it or whatever, okay? Kanye looks washed, okay? I'm pretty sure Kanye looked better, a while ago. All right, this person looks out of it.
That was used as justification for the far-right state of Israel
Yikes.
To start its more forward and obvious ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians, and now she's put out a statement. Generally speaking, I wouldn't be too upset with her taking her time to do so. I don't see why you would need so much time, but it is what it is. People got shit going on. But unfortunately, what she did put out, which was a post on Reddit, was not...
Just FYI, okay? Even if not counterpoints, fuck me, dude. that's a retard. Okay, I would never slander my queen Contrapoints by calling them counterpoints. Even if Contrapoints came out with a statement that essentially made her say something along the lines of, "Hey, by the way, yeah, in fact, I fully condemn Israel. Israel is bad. Israel shouldn't have done this, and I'm sorry that I was late for it." It's like she still wouldn't have gotten flack for it unless she completely kowtowed. Unless she completely kowtowed to the other side, she still would have gotten flack for it and she would still get canceled. Okay. So honestly, like her being honest with her thoughts is like the best she can do, essentially, right? I'm pretty sure she was bashed for not being like condemning of the lefties enough or whatever, right? But honestly, in my opinion, it's like good enough, whatever. Not a big deal.
Particularly good, in my opinion. There's a lot of people that are probably really uncharitable to her. I'm going to try to be as charitable as possible. And there's some things.
Well, I mean, you mean like being as charitable as possible from the perspective of a Vaush orbiter, right? Which is like not very charitable. I'm sorry, but Vaush himself is not very charitable. I mean, not to project the person that you orbit, to be your entire personality, but I'm just saying, right?
Things that I haven't seen as many other people comment on when it comes to her response that I think I would hope to be able to shed some light on, mostly having to do with a lot of what's at the end of it, where she talks about how trans issues have been affected, in her estimation, by the people protesting against the genocide. So I guess we'll just get into it. So she wrote 2 days ago on her Reddit, which is still up. So many leftists feel betrayed because I haven't made a video on Palestine. Do they actually want a Contrapoints video about Palestine? Will they be happy if I get in a bath and pour milk on a mannequin at Benjamin Netanyahu? No, I have posted about Gaza occasionally and have quietly given money to Palestinian aid organizations. That's all fine. I would accept that. I would want her to do more because she has a large platform, but it's not to everybody's strengths to talk about foreign policy very forwardly in their content. People have different,
Bro, liberals don't even push for lefties to necessarily talk about like the Uyghur genocide conducted by the Chinese, right? I mean, I guess it like I'm sure like it isn't so much of a big deal to lefties since, it's conducted by China and China is anti-US. Oh, I'm sure like Bosnian genocide denial isn't really a big deal because, the Serbs were anti-West, right? Anti-United States. So I guess that's also not a big deal. Oh, but we gotta suck Chomsky's dick, okay? Even though Chomsky actively does Bosnian genocide revisionism, right? Like the thing is just these people are just loaded with hypocrisy because the reality of the situation is that if you actually do cared about genocide and like the concept of cultures genociding and stuff like that, and maybe you care about like countries that the US interacts with, you would care about China, you would care about other genocides going on conducted by countries that are anti-West. But turns out the West is generally anti-genocide. So I mean, again, like if one of the only examples you can point to is like Native American genocide long time ago, I mean, fine, if you want to define genocide like that, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, then the commies would have done a lot more genocide than that, okay? If you want to point towards Native American genocide, then I would have to point towards the Holodomor being a genocide. Even though I personally don't believe the Holodomor to be a genocide, you just can't have your cake and eat it too, okay? Then I would have to point out the USSR essentially conducted genocide, right?
skill sets for this kind of thing. I'm not the best when it comes to talking about foreign policy either. A lot of what I talk about is domestic policy and other such things. But I think what leftists really want is for me to join their chorus of anger. They sense some hesitation on my part and are judging me very harshly on my presumed opinions. I'd rather be judged on my actual opinions, so here they are. You could have done this really at any time. She says, is Israel committing genocide in Gaza? Yes. Do I oppose it? Yes. Do I feel angry about it? Yes. Literally just cut the statement off there. We're big chillin'. People will still give you grief about, taking a while to make a more public statement about it all. The only real impetus for doing so is the large platform you have and the influence you might have in regards to it. It's not like a Contrapoints video about Israel-Palestine is going to solve the conflict. It might not even move the needle at all. But I think what people want is a sense of solidarity with the people they respect.
Wrong. What people want is virtue signaling, okay? This has nothing to do with a sense of solidarity or whatever, okay? People want virtue signaling because it sounds nice, it makes people feel good, and that's essentially it, okay? Like, yeah, I don't know, it's just Stupid.
and whose content may have influenced them in their political evolution and so on and so forth. 1. Doom. The week after October 7th, it was clear the mood among Israeli leaders and civilians was overwhelmingly kill or be killed, existential panic, and unstoppable lust for revenge. It reminded me of the US after 9/11. There was no reasoning or protesting them out of it, nor was it politically feasible for the US to withdraw aid to Israel on a time frame that would make a difference. I don't know that that's actually correct. People smarter than me have suggested that it's not accurate. Either way, that's not the primary question up for debate about her response here, though it could be telling about her worldview or her broader opinions. It would have required replacing most of Congress and overturning decades of bipartisan strategy and diplomacy. Even in the best case scenario, it would have taken years. So there was a sense of futility, but worse, 2, misery. So she's written this kind of like one of her scripts, which is fair enough. I mean, you write in the way that you write. It becomes something that you get into a good flow with, though the aesthetics of it.
If you ever watch like a Contrapoints live stream, it is essentially like it's not even close to one of her to the eloquence of their videos. Okay, she is a lot more meandering and like nervous and anxious sounding during one of Contrapoint's live streams. However, I will say again, all right, I can't blame her for it because obviously when you script something, you're gonna sound a lot better. So, whatever. They want us to feign outrage, so this was perfect for them. Yeah, essentially, yeah. And Contrapoints is a great target as well for them, just mainly because Contrapoints has already been disavowed by the extreme left, essentially at this point, right? Like this isn't the issue that made people 180 on Contrapoints. This is the issue that people took as an opportunity to further bash on Contrapoints, somebody that they already hated and disavowed, right? She's not even the neo-lib queen. Like I'm pretty sure she still considers herself as a leftist, or at least as a far left like liberal, right? Like a more left-leaning version of a social democrat, but at the same time, you know, like none of this is enough for lefties, even though she essentially says that it's a genocide. So like, yeah, it's just incredibly ludicrous stuff. Yeah.
Can leave a bit to be desired for some people. The leftist pro-Palestine movement quickly decided that their primary goal was not merely opposition to the genocide, but opposition to Zionism in general, which I don't think is a particularly bad thing. But she continues, that is, opposition to the existence of Israel as a Jewish state. See also an ethno-state. The people that oppose Zionism oppose a Jewish ethno-state, not because they don't think Jewish people should be allowed in, you know, said state or geographic area, but rather the Palestinians that might live in that geographic area should be allowed to have equal rights to the Israeli people there, many of whom happen to be Jewish, but not all of them are. That's the primary issue, is it's being anti-ethno-state. So I don't see why it would be.
Yeah, but that's like such a privileged idea to have, right? Because most countries in the world, if not like, or at least many countries, if it's not most, many countries in the world are ethno-states, but then I just don't see lefties having an issue with them either, right? Isn't this Vaush's old roommate? Yes, indeed. And this is the person who also helped in getting Destiny banned off of Twitch. So yeah, this is like an ancient enemy of Destiny. It's like I'm talking about like Demon Mama levels of ancient, okay? But yeah.
A bad thing to have your primary goal being opposition to an ethno-state project, you know? And here they decided to draw the line separating decent people from genocidal fascists, which had the following consequences. 1, it shrunk the coalition. Quote-unquote Zionist is a very broad category. Most Jews are Zionists. Anyone who supports a two-state solution is a Zionist. I don't believe that this is true. I don't believe that Zionist is a very broad category. Maybe it is in terms of the way that right-wing and far-right Zionists, aka people who are in favor of a ethno-state rather than, you know, people who think.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, okay? I'm pretty sure like more than 90% of Jews are Zionists. And that's and if you don't think it's 90% of Jews, it's pretty safe to say most Jews are Zionists, okay? So it's not just like some kind of extremely right-wing belief. It's not. It's just simply not an extremely right-wing belief. It's not. Because even left-wing, very left-wing Jewish people have this same idea, even though they have very like socially left beliefs, right? Like they probably support gay marriage, they probably like support all kinds of, you know, progressive causes, they probably support like the most progressive candidates, but it's just that on specifically Israel, they want that because they are personally affected by it.
I think Israel has a right to exist or whatever. The far-right Netanyahu government wants Zionism to be a very broad category. That's kind of like the entire point of conflating it with Judaism in its entirety, is to suggest that if you are anti-Zionism, which is anti the establishment of a Jewish ethno-state, which necessitates an ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people there and the Arabs there, especially with Israel's expansionist goals and colonialist goals being a colonialist project in its inception, the broadness of that category is not the fault of people protesting against the atrocities that the nation-state of Israel's military has done. It is the fault of the far-right Zionists who want that conflation, right? Who want that category to be as broad as possible because it aids in their ability to weaponize claims of anti-Semitism against people who oppose.
Yeah, I mean, like I agree with that, but at the same time, you know, it's kind of like you're essentially arguing that, oh yeah, you don't understand all these like far right black people who have a problem, who wants to expand the definition of the word thug as far as possible, so then they are able to conflate the word thug with the word black people, right? It's like I mean, like yeah, it could literally just be as like isn't that a dog whistle? Like isn't that like a dog whistle? Like apparently now when it comes to this issue, like dog whistles no longer exist. Is it like Zionism is literally a dog whistle? I'm sorry, but like context matters. Okay, context does matter. When every single possible anti-Zionist um stereotype and belief lines up perfectly with like anti-Jewish stereotypes and beliefs by implying that, oh, there is an ancient secret cabal of Zionists slash Jews behind every single possible action, and you apply every single possible like old ancient anti-Semitic belief behind every single anti-Zionist argument, you are conflating the two. You're doing the work for them. You're not the one who is, they're not the ones who is conflating the two in that scenario, okay? You're doing the work for them when you're making conspiracies about Zionists. You're doing the work of conflating the two, not right-wingers. But yeah.
The establishment of an ethno-state, you know? That said, anyone who supports a two-state solution is a Zionist. I don't know that that's technically true. I guess, like, if you think that, like, oh, well, Palestine should just become its own state, and then Israel, as it exists currently, should just become its own state. Like, if literally tomorrow we made it so that Palestine, its own state, has its own democratic political system, etc., is sovereign. Israel, same thing. If that was to be made the case literally tomorrow, the problem would still remain that the far-right state of Israel has expansionist colonialist goals, right? So they would still be attempting to take over Palestinian land, which is a big reason why a lot of people are not in favor of a two-state solution. It's a very idealized
well, people who are not in favor of a two-state solution for a one-state solution are either like extremists or completely uninformed. Because there's no way you can get the two people to mix right now. There's no way. Unless you're saying like far, far, far in the future, but then at that point, anything could happen. So that discussion is useless. They were saying Zionism is thinking Israel in its current form has a right to exist. I think though Zionism historically has referred to the expansion of Israel to include the entire Holy Land. Oh. I mean, if that's the case, then I disagree with that. But, like, right now I'm using Zionism, I'm assuming, in the context of, like, oh, they have a right to exist. That's it,
hopeful idea. Like, oh, can everybody just go get
I'm actually not entirely familiar with how people use the word Zionism, to be honest.
along, yeah. But the establishment of the nation-state of Israel was a colonial...
Or they want that because they know what that will result in. I like to be a little bit good-natured here and say people don't realize what that will imply, but people just think it's the right thing, right? Or people are okay with the result being the killing of a bunch of Jews, right?
Project, and the far-right forces within it have been allowed to fester and have power for so long that there's no way a Palestinian state could exist next to it and not be subject to the same things that it's currently subject
Well, you can literally say the same thing for a Jewish state, right? You're only saying this right now because right now the Jewish state has a lot more power than the Palestinian state, right? But in a scenario where it's reversed, I'm just simply not sure if leftists would be as supportive in any way. Wasn't this Vaush's partner? No, this was Vaush's former roommate who got Destiny banned.
Too. So in that way, I guess if you
Twitch,
support a
long time
two-state
ago.
solution, you're in the periphery of Zionism. But I think a lot of people who claim to support a two-state solution are thinking of it.
Vaush definitely fucked them. Yeah, I would probably make that assumption too, just based off of guessing, just mainly because I'm pretty sure Vaush has said he is also into femboys. And he said that he has fucked femboys, which implies several things about Conyer, okay?
In that idealized form, even though in practice it doesn't
thing?
seem like it would work out that well. A one-state solution where Israelis and Palestinians have equal rights, and there's no, negative cultural backlash in either direction would be great as well, but a lot of it is very idealized, and geopolitics just doesn't work that cleanly, But I think a lot of people that support that, a lot of normies that would support it, would not support the establishment of a Jewish ethno state, or support the actions of the far-right government in Israel against Palestinians. 2, it was politically infeasible. What is the pathway that takes us from the present situation to the dissolution of Israel as a Jewish state? I don't see how this could happen without either a total internal collapse of Israeli society or else, nuclear war. As usual, leftists have championed a doomed cause. Like, you're a writer. You gotta know that if you use rhetoric in a certain way, especially in an effort post that is aesthetically as effort post as this, the cynicism is dripping off of this. And the seeming, discontent is dripping off of this in such a way that...
It's fine to... Dude, okay, but then you gotta ask yourself, is she right to be cynical? Is she right to be cynical? Ask yourself this question. Stop tone policing. Instead, think to yourself, is there a good reason to be cynical? I think that is the important question here, right? Because you can tone police someone for being cynical, but typically that tone policing only works if they don't have a right to be cynical. However, ask yourself this. Does Contrapoints have a right to be cynical? I would say so. I would say so, right? Which is where the disagreement is. It's irritating because this idiot thinks Palestinians aren't reactionary and are just as leftist as them. They're not. But then they would also argue that it doesn't matter if the Palestinians are not leftists or whatever the fuck, right? That's probably what they would argue. But then I would just then argue is okay. It doesn't matter.
It seems like you're positioning yourself as an enemy to leftism broadly, at least on this specific regard. I don't understand the argument. What are leftists supposed to do? Try to find a compromise with the genocide? It doesn't make sense. And why focus on the actions of people that are protesting against the atrocity instead of using more of your time and platform?
Holy fuck, Conyer hit the femboy wall hard. Yeah, you either get on HRT or you have to gracefully accept your disintegration from femboyism, okay? You either get on HRT or your femboyism is going to go away. Okay?
Arguing against the people in power that are aiding and abetting the atrocity. It's a misplacement of energy in my mind, and I have a variety of theories as to why, because I read this post before doing this segment. But the political infeasibility of a thing isn't often what's on people's mind when they protest said thing, and that's politically infeasible in your mind. It's usually that people see something heinous going on and want to see it stop happening. And the sea change, when it comes to how much polling in this regard for Americans has changed from being more in favor of the state of Israel in the past versus now, I believe in recent polling, Americans are more in favor of the Palestinian plight. And